more light on.
Yeah, you can. And anyways, I have hit the record. So as we go along, hello, welcome everyone for Let's Talk podcast. And if you are already seeing, there are a few gentlemen already on this call. And today we have a pretty interesting take on our podcast. And a big shout out to Rena from Better Call Daddy podcast. She mentioned that sort of you're doing all these stuff. Why don't you and your friends share some experience about these things, whether it's running, whether it's hiking? And not only that, you try to make this particular conversation memorable. You also encourage some people to take those steps because, again, as a human being, procrastination is pretty much built into our blood. And we need certain kind of guidance, certain way, either through digital media, either through talking to your friends and your colleagues, and so on and so forth. So that's why I requested all my fellow hikers to come on this call, share of our recent hike, their experiences around what some of the things were memorable, what key takeaways from that, if there is any, and anything under the sun. So before we get started, just to give you a perspective, we went. There are a lot of audience I know from outside United States, so we went for a backpack hiking or trekking in a state called New Hampshire in the United States. It's pretty strenuous in the way that it was close to 34 miles, give and take, and it has everything. You have a very flat land where you can stroll, and through that, the terrain also get strenuous in the terms of you have, I think, 0.8 miles of 1,500 feet elevation gain. If people are into mountaineering or in these hikes, they can understand it's pretty steep. And at the same time, we also had some experience around where we are coming down from literally a waterfall. So we had a lot of things and a lot of amazing conversations. So that I would just open the floor here, and I would like to welcome Atul, Sajid, Amir, and Sharik. I would always say bhai because they are elder to me, and I learned a lot about them. In the way, I'm just showing that I'm very young, just in case. Guys, welcome for the first time for Let's Talk, and let's open the forum with maybe Atul bhai, who took this leadership to bring everyone together for this hike. Atul bhai, if you can provide us some kind of information, how exactly you get into, stumbled upon Pemi Loop, why, and then how exactly you encourage everyone to get to that point? Because I know that in our conversation, you said that talking about envisioning is something, but just try to bring it to reality. You took some steps as well and reaching out to the people to make sure that everyone on the same page. So Atul bhai, and maybe a
Sure,
bit of conversation about yourself as well, if you would like.
sure. So my name is Atul Singh. I'm based out of Princeton Junction, New Jersey.
Mhm.
I've been doing some level of endurance activities, etc., since about 2010. 2010 is when I did my first marathon, and then every year one or two events, and then progressively, moving into hiking and triathlons, etc., so on. So progressively along the way, what has happened is we've been able to build a group of people that are extremely motivated and capable themselves. And what that does is that we draws
I
uh,
think we are getting the echo. Sorry. Hi, Tamir. You just joined. Just want to make sure that if your voice, as soon as you joined, I think there was some echo.
yeah.
Just want to make sure. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Atul bhai.
So what has happened is because each progressively as this group of people organically have come together, each one of them in their own capacity is an extremely good athlete, and they have been doing these endurance events on their own for a significant period of time, and then we rub off of each other. The genesis of this particular hike really happened on our way back from another hike which we did in earlier part of the year, which was the climbing Mount Marcy. So
Mhm.
Mount Marcy we climbed in winter time, and with snow on the ground and snow on the trees, and winds, and pretty, that was like 15-16 mile hike, which was a strong endurance effort from the team. And it was also spectacular in natural beauty, right? You cannot capture it on any video camera, on any other camera. We took plenty of pictures, but these these trees that are absolutely laden with snow, the
Mhm.
ground is all snowed out, and there's wind blowing, and you're just walking through that absolutely pristine landscape, and you realize that the only way anybody can experience that is on their own 2 feet. Doesn't matter if you are, you're the wealthiest person in the world. There is no helicopter, showing up. So you to experience nature in such incredible beauty, and in that kind of grain, you feel fortunate that you're able to do that. So
Yeah.
anyway, we had a phenomenal experience there, and on the way back, your mind starts working on what next. And so Amir, who's one of our key leaders here in terms of extensive experience in climbing and hiking, and we call him
And the
the
fastest
mountain
goat.
lion for a good
Mountain
reason.
lion, yes.
So Amir had some point mentioned of about Pemi Loop. He himself had done it in
Yes.
one day, which is, as we learn more about what Pemi Loop entailed, which was 34 miles of hiking with 12,000 feet elevation gain, because we stayed at a hut for which we have to climb down and then climb back up, and to be able to, and we were able to do it in uh, we did it in 2 days, 8 miles in one day, and the rest in another. So 10 miles in one day and the rest in another. It still took us about 24 hours of actual hiking to do that. So Amir had accomplished that in one day, a few years ago, and we were all like, we all our jaws had fallen on the ground basically. But that stayed
Yes.
with me, and then we figured that 6 months out from that time in February when we did Mount Marcy would be a good time for people to try something else, which is difficult, which brings these strong athletes together, and we are able to have some really good fun time. So all
Oh,
of
yeah.
that worked out. All that I did was just coordinate, put some dates together, and people drove that as their own anyway.
Yeah.
The hardest thing, I'll just end with this, the hardest thing about any of these endurance events, whether it's a marathon or a strong hike like this or a mountain climb, is to get to the starting line.
Yes.
There's so
Absolutely.
many things prior to that, including your own thinking, right? Whether I'm able to do it or not, whether I can take the time away from my family or not, or whether I have the fitness for this or not, or uh, and life, when you're planning things, life gets in the way. So
Oh,
fortunately
yes.
for us, we were
Mm.
able to get like 12 of us together at the starting line, and rest was just an incredible experience. With For me, the biggest value that I got was just being able to be around these incredibly good athletes and even better human beings. So
Yeah.
just a fun experience. Back to you.
That's great. I think that's what I mean. We should be having all these different personalities where some people can initiate and everyone follows. Some would be maybe having their logistics in place, so complement each other. And that's what you mentioned about. So let's talk to Lion himself, Amir Bhai. He is literally, because I think everyone has seen uh, how do you get all this energy, Amir Bhai? If you can provide, I mean, are you born mountain climber, or how do you realize all these things? If you can provide some enlightenment, I would say, to us and to our viewers.
Thank you very much, Saurav. First of all, it's a great opportunity to not only for to cover up recent Pemi Loop,
Mhm.
but obviously, as I think I echo first of all, Atul. Atul covered most of Now, since is this question just posed on myself, like my personal experience,
Yeah.
personal all those stuff. So I think I never got into this, until I came over in United States in 90s. But though I was an active person in school and college time, I was just, very um, by myself, like, trying to figure out what I wanted to do or something. Raised up in a small town, obviously the opportunities are not that great. So I was just, getting all those Bruce Lee movies and all those stuff, how we can play the kung fu and all. So this was something motivation get from the other sources was very minuscule. It's not like something, nowadays it's everything is available on Google, or you inspired by people around you, and you get to the. So this is the how I brought up in a small town, and then finally I started actually looking into my university when I see there is a competitive sports, there's where I started involve myself into it. Still wasn't, you know get get there where I was looking. and
Hmm.
uh, and then I came over, and then I was surrounded by in Manhattan some of my friends, where they always talk about, running, hiking, all those stuff. So I kept quiet for a year or so. Then I realized there's something, is a physical challenges which they talk about, and I have to explore myself, even though I have a lot of dreams, a lot of stuff, but obviously I was a little shy of, um, you know nudging my insight if I really can do it or not. Especially as a migrant in a new country is always a challenge. So I started very early, basically in late 90s, when I was started my 5Ks or those stuff, and then got into hiking group, just random, and then here there, and started exposing myself into Catskill and some Adirondacks area. And New Hampshire was one of the things which I never got into it until I think 2000, first 2005, I believe.
Hmm.
So I noticed myself. I think this is somehow. I found myself. I am pretty good in on mountains. Running was not something special for me, but especially mountain, I somehow I. And then I started. With strong mountaineers, or the people they've been doing a lot. I was just pacing with them, and so I never thought about bigger challenges that time. I was just in the neighborhood somewhere, a day trips, I would say.
Yeah.
So
So
and then
basically, you were
yeah,
going with the flow, basically,
with
what
the
you're
flow,
saying.
yeah. So
Yes.
day trips, with the raising kids at home. I cannot, I couldn't afford to go far for like a week or some multi days hiking trip. I did like a weekend, for example, that was okay, but not like remote areas where you go travel other state and stay there for a week or so. So, but then finally I started looking more the people like-minded, and then I started like more, I would say, strenuous hiking and all those stuff. Took challenges. Same time I was doing the running stuff, marathon. I started in 2007. It's almost 20 years of my whole journey for marathons. And believe it or not, the time I was started, um, there wasn't any uh, support group like peers. I was just by myself in town, lonely, running, boring or not. And there wasn't anything like smartphones that time, not up to that level.
Yeah.
And but somehow I had something in me which I was trying to see what I can do my best. And then with the flow, I started getting along with more people which is in my neighborhood. Luckily, since in Plainsboro and West Windsor, where I spent last 15 years,
Yeah.
um, I was very fortunate to met with the people. They've been doing extraordinary stuff, which was, and especially not only marathon, but the Ironman and high mountain ice peaks and all those stuff. And then that led me to focus on, I would say, or concentrate on some of the bigger challenges, which got me into Nepal trip and then Pakistan trip for 7,000 meter, and then we went to Ecuador and Canada.
No,
I
it
did,
just like one leads to the so.
yeah, one
Sorry to
leads to
interrupt.
other, yeah.
So one thing I really I'm fascinated, and this is something I would like to highlight as well. So as you mentioned that you grew up in small town, and based on my experience from a lot of guests coming, small town people, as you mentioned that they may not have all the facilities and those convenience. That is exactly how they develop those patience, those grit, their perseverance about trying to strive for things, because what we are doing right now, we are not in a comfortable situation. We are not having a proper food for 2 days in this, in our case, right? We are just walking, and sometimes you feel, why you are doing this? I mean, what am I getting out of this? So and these small things which really sets your mind. So as you said, you started something, and this is a journey, and everyone who is at any part of the journey, they want to see that you just have to keep going. So you started with running, you understand, you try to explore, and a lot of our folks are also seekers. They try to get into certain things, try to explore, and then one leads to another, and then obviously you'll get to the groups. So obviously, Amir bhai, a lot of things we
Yeah,
learn.
thank you.
So yeah, and let's move on to
Yeah.
someone. I'll just randomly pick maybe Sajid bhai. So Sajid bhai is also one important thing. What notably, again, I'll let him to introduce as well. That what I've heard, like he also developed over the period of time. As of now, I don't know swimming, and I'm trying to aim for Ironman. And he said that sort of. I mean, I learned this at such a late stage of my life. When people say that, I mean, right now we have to calm things down, and we are still learning. We are still having that student mentality. So that is something which I really like about Sajid Bhai. So Sajid Bhai, please enlighten us about a few things about yourself and your experience lately.
Sure, Saurabh. Thanks. Yeah. So, yeah, as I'm Sajid Gopinath, I'm based out of South Brunswick, New Jersey. I would say, like how Saurabh mentioned, I'm a triathlete runner and also a small hiker compared to all these folks here.
No longer small now. Yeah.
So, yeah, like pre-COVID, I couldn't even run 2 miles. I was biking a couple of miles, but then I would say the strong group here, plus a couple of them who couldn't join today. This network gave me kind of a framework where I could just accelerate my journey. I didn't have to research too much. Just join them on a couple of hikes, runs, and rides, and there you go. And so once you started running, and then they say this is just you just done a marathon. Now there's something called a triathlon, So I didn't know how to swim. I started learning. I couldn't even do one lap in a pool. I started learning swimming in 21, mid of 21 or end of 21, and a year somehow I gathered that skill. And yep, there I am. I could do some triathlons and half Ironman because Mr. Atul is here, who's a full. If I don't
Yeah.
specify that, then he's going to point that out. So yeah, but it's just not me. I think if I was alone, I wouldn't have even
Yes.
come close to where I was, because I was there for so many years. I wanted to get into these things, but I didn't have the set of friends or the framework to get this executed. I think that matters a lot for me as an individual. Some people are self-motivated, they do it themselves. But
Mhm.
for me, I need a framework. I need that group to keep pushing me out of the comfort zone, because I'm a person who needs all the comfort. You guys have seen how I'm in the hotels. So I need my set
But
of.
you have a right balance, right? Comfort in the hotel, and then those hardships
Yeah,
on the
so I've
trip,
been
which
now pushed out. So once I step out of the room, then I become,
totally
you call
changes.
it the jungly or the whatever you call it after that. But yeah, coming to this, Pemi itself was a challenge for me, because I came out of some injuries after the Ironman race, and then I was thinking twice whether I could do this kind of long distance, because we have done presidential travel similar,
Yes.
hiking earlier, and I was not in this fitness level, but then I had to quit in between at Mount Washington. But somehow everybody, Atul, Tej, Mohammed, everybody kept pushing me, the whole group here, telling that this is possible and things like that. The first day I tried, it worked out, and then still I thought, I had all the exit plans more than the plan. So because I
Which
didn't want
end?
to slow down. The second day when Amir says this is the group, I said, oh my God, I'm the slowest of the lot. So what do I do now? I didn't want to slow the whole pack down, but then that's why I say, if this group didn't exist, I don't think I would have the mental courage to do this entire thing. Physical endurance is next, but that mental block had to get. But now once you finish that, I felt,
Yes.
oh my God, now next time someone calls me, right, for such a long episode, that 31 miles, 10,000, 12,000 feet is just set down. It's like, you do a full marathon, then a half is nothing, right? So like these people are talking about ultras. Now for me, ultra is a mind challenge, but I think that's where I feel that for me, it's more about the mental thing, that you push out of the comfort zone, get you out, then the world is, everything else seems smaller. After
Smaller.
that. Yeah.
And one thing is, just to point out again, with all these things, a quick summary. You mentioned that you started around 2020 when you couldn't even run 2 miles.
Yeah.
You learned swimming. You said
I had
that.
to learn running first.
Yes, running. Yeah.
So I had to learn running first. So biking was there a bit, but not to the extent I'm not there today, because it built over
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
So and we are not in 2030 or 35. Like, and this is the beauty of the group here. Amir Bhai, he's talking about 2005, 2000s, 90s, something, right? He's a kind of a veteran doing these things and exploring things all around. And then there's some people like who recently started, and what kind of what an improvement. I mean, you're saying you cannot run 2 miles. Now you're talking about Ironman, not even talking about, you've already completed one half and you're talking about ultra marathon. So this is exactly how the stories has been built. And you mentioned about some injuries you overcome. And now, because you talk about injuries, let me move over to Sharik Bhai here. He attended this, he had injuries, he still completed almost half of the Pemi Loop here. And again, I would like to let Sharik Bhai introduce himself, his perspective about all those things which we are discussing. And Sharik Bhai, again, I would like to know how's your injury
Absolutely.
going
Yeah.
so far.
Thank you so much. First of all, I am here because I live about a couple of houses away from Amir. I really used to run just a couple of miles. And there was one time when he did a 6 mile run and he posted in one of our community chats that he ran 6 miles. And I said to myself, well, that would be awesome if one day I can run 6 miles. And one day he and I were running together. We were at the second mile and he said, you know what, let's do 5K today. And I just ran with him. I said, Amir, I have to go back home as well. And that
Yes.
day and today, I have so far run 12 full marathons.
Wow.
Because he posted that link on the chat, because I was running with him. So at the end of the day, right, you do, as the expression goes, you pick up those good habits from the group that you indulge with, right? So
Yes.
it's all because of the group that we have, because it's all because of the environment that we have created. And one of our mutual friends, Tej, was not here. But one of the things that he recently said to a running group was that, get to the point where your race becomes your training distance. So he was talking to people who were running a half marathon. He was saying, when you start running for a full marathon, half will be just one of your training distances.
Yes.
So that's the journey that this group is on, right? That's what Sajid was talking about, right? Now that he has done 31 mile thingy, when somebody comes and says, we're going to do 31 miles, Sajid will say, piece of cake, we'll do it. The Marcy hike that Atul was talking about, right?
He's saying not a piece of cake.
Before I did the Marcy hike that Atul was talking about, the Endurance 7, it was a 12 to 14 hour event. So even if there's no elevation, you're hanging out in extreme cold, right? For 12 to 14 hours. You check out what gear you need to execute for that, right? You have that mental strength that you build up. So again, I think at the end of the day, you hang out with this group or with any other group, that's where you build up good habits. So one of the
Yes.
ways to pick up good habit is to just hang out with good people. That's what I would say. That I am here
Oh, yes.
because I've been hanging out with the right people.
That's
And to
so
that
true.
point, I have a hamstring injury right now. So
Hmm.
I knew from the onset that I will not be able to do it for 2 days or 31 miles, but I don't want to let go of the opportunity. So I
Yes.
came up with a backup plan that, hey guys, I'll get to this hut, you know,
Yes.
by taking a shorter route. And then whatever reasons were, we all ended up doing the shorter route on day one, and you guys did the longer route on day two.
That's
So
great.
yeah.
That's wonderful. And before I just provide some thoughts here, you guys feel free. It's not a certain office call, so you can unmute and laugh or just put any kind of comments out there, just in case. But I think you're true. This is very important, and this is very critical, which I have learned from my life as well. That you have to hang around with the people whom you would like to learn and try to be like them. And this is exactly because life is like how it pulls you in different directions, and it's very easy to stray out, and then you'll say, oh, I already wasted so much of time. So it's very important, and that's what I think when this Pemi Loop thing conversation started. I think Atul Bhai was visiting Florida, and then we have some conversation. He said that I'm planning this. I said, just bring me on the group, even if I'm not coming. I would like to see some things happening around it, because you never know if I get the opportunity. And because obviously I moved to Florida, so I'm in that stage. What Amir Bhai mentioned, that running alone, and but again, I know that I have a group where if I'm feeling low or I'm feeling demotivated, I just call anyone randomly here, and they will be like, "Oh, we are planning this. Get a ticket done, and then get charged up and go back." So I totally and this is something, again, you have taken risk with your hamstring injury, and non-hikers and those people who are not into these may not understand. They would be like, why? But I think this is what we have created that tribe where we understand those things. So talking about the tribe, let's move over to Temer Bhai, because this is the first interaction I had with him. Obviously, I couldn't have any impression about his fitness level at the starting. I was like, maybe, yeah, he's just another guy. And then this guy was okay. I thought only Amir Bhai was literally running, and this was, oh, I mean, just I was like, okay, I think it's very tough to catch up. And while coming from that hut to the first leg where we reached to the another hut, I was like, I totally gassed out. I was like, okay, I have to now really,
Really,
uh,
uh,
I have to
I have to
go through
go
all these
through all
things.
these
And
things, and
I think I'm
I think
getting
I'm
the
getting
echo,
the
Tamir
echo,
Bhai,
Tamir
because I
Bhai,
think
because
it's
I think
your.
it's your.
Okay.
Okay.
But anyways,
But
I'll
anyways,
stop
I'll
here.
stop here,
And please
and
introduce
please
yourself and any insights from our trip here.
I think I'll say one thing. Tamir's
Yes.
strategy is that when he's talking, nobody else should talk. So when he unmutes, nobody else can mute. But I'll say one thing though, right? One thing that
Yes.
the first impression that I have of Tamir is
Yes.
this dude. He
Uh,
gets up at 6:30 in the morning in winter,
mm.
and he would do a 2-hour trail run in the dead of a winter at 6:30 in the morning when
Wow.
you
Okay. I didn't know
really
that.
want to be sleeping in your cozy blanket.
Hmm.
So over to Tamir.
Okay. That's Well, I didn't know about that. Tamir Bhai, yeah. Can you
can you
spill some
spill
juice
some
here?
Yeah,
juice?
so like things are like a lot different for me. Like I've always been a loner. If like a lot of people might not consider this, but I was an introvert growing up. It takes a lot for me to just interact with folks. Um, I've lived in India. I grew up in India, lived in the US, lived in Germany, lived in the UK. And because of like in a constant movement, I've never had like in a close knit folks. So this is the kind of first opportunity that I've gotten of find the right group. And to Sharik's kind of point is when you find the right group, you pick up the right habits, and it kind of motivates you to do the right thing. And I'm very thankful, first off, of just getting an opportunity to do this. And all the legwork was done by Atul. So that's awesome. Thank you very much for doing all of that. And all I had to do was just turn up. So that was, as difficult as that is, to Atul's point, is the fact that, yes, turning up is very difficult, but that was easy. Like, I just had to turn up. And what I love about life in general is the fact that there's so much it has to offer. And I'm not a person that likes to do many things over and over again. Like I ran one 5K, I'm not running another 5K again. I'll run one half marathon, I'm done with that. I'll run one marathon, I'm done with that. And what I love is just amazing experiences that everybody has. Like imagine what Amar just said is the fact that he went on a 7,000 feet, like 7,000 meter climb in Pakistan. Like I want that experience. That is what my driving factor is. What I want is like, us being able to go to Mount Washington, being able to conquer that mountain. It's never the same, just constantly changing, evolving, doing something different. And this group is definitely the motivating factor that makes that happen, right? It's the fact that the goals that this team sets and they're able to accomplish it. Like even today, like, there's a tropical storm that's out there. A few of them ran. Sajid is one of them in the crazy weather that we had for a couple of hours.
18 milers.
There you go. I mean, that's not easy. That's not easy to do. And that's inspirational for all of us. So what motivates me and what keeps me going is the fact that bring out the best in you. Like, if you look at those Greek and Roman sculptures, when you look at those statues, those are actual human beings. That could be you. Those are not gods or goddesses. You are them. Go and enjoy and just do it. Like, and I truly believe in the fact that once you set that goal, do it. Yes, things will go sideways and south, and then you have to kind of reevaluate, but go and do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
And that's, I know that's really simple and that's not very motivational, but just, you live once.
I mean, it's simple, but what we say, the simplest things are the most complex things to attain, because people, the way how we are wired is that if something is very complex, we'll try to dig deeper, and something is simple that I already know that. But coming back to one point which you mentioned, and this is exactly the mindset I'm talking about here. You said that it's very easy to show up. And this is one of the most difficult thing for most of the people out there, to show up, because we already have people like Atul Bhai, who has already prepared everything, and then obviously it's been all these assisted by Amir Bhai, Sharik Bhai, and Tej Bhai, and all the other folks out there, and filling up the Excel sheet. And for me also, I would like just looking at the Excel sheet, because sometimes I'm unable to get time to have all these conference calls to understand the logistics. So that exactly what I mean. You are spot on that how the really things flip. That just showing up itself is becoming one of the most daunting tasks for most of the people out there. So let's I would say open the forum here on Pemi Loop specifically. Do you have any specific memory or anything you would like to this is something I really like about this particular hike? Anyone, it's an open forum now.
So if I may take
Yes.
a couple of seconds here.
Yes.
I'll first tie a couple of points from the prior conversation, right? So there is a lot of value that is placed in having right kind of folks around, and it's understood. I think everybody understands that. I look at it slightly differently. The way I see it is, there are catalysts in life, and there are people who are catalysts sometimes. Sometimes some events are catalysts. So, for example, Sajid and I worked together at a company up until 2013, I believe, right? And during that time, I had adventured into doing my first Ironman in 2012, and Sajid at that point saw me as like an outlier and positioned me in this space that this guy is an idiot. There's no point subjecting yourself to.
He's laughing.
Am I
Basically, he's
right?
confirming that.
Am I
Yeah.
exaggerating? Or exactly. But
Yes.
the fact is that several years later, as things were different or right in his life for whatever reason, the whole it's at that point that he was ready for it, and he moved forward, right? So whether it was me or somebody else, some catalyst for which he himself got himself ready.
Yeah.
So the reason I mention this is that this good company business, I have exposed myself and I have got exposed by many other athletes as well. But out of 100 people that I have talked to or preached, or who have known me doing stuff to whatever little extent that I do, only 5% people have taken it on, right? So a lot of it is our internal drive to want to do something.
Yeah.
Yes, the environment will sometimes will catalyze that behavior, or will kind of instigate a little bit more. Or once you get into the group, then it becomes easier. But you have to find this within yourself also. So I want to put that
Yes.
it's not just the people around you, because I just gave the example. The other thing is, I want to point out that when you have the right team, right group of people, this particular event one person organized, and now some other event somebody else will organize. So those dynamics are the one that really propel you, because nobody individually has time to be planning everything about all these things in their life. So those just two little pointers that I wanted to get those in before sort of responding to your question. Specifically on this hike, there were a couple of points I would mention, right? On the second day, so the first day we did 10 miles, about 5,000 feet elevation gain.
Yeah.
On the second day, we did about the 24 miles and about 7,000 feet elevation gain. So on the second day, the first 1/3 of the hike was the hardest, where we were, where we covered a lot of elevation gain there. And then the second third was supposed to be easier, but it turned out to not to be easier, right? Sajid and I, we were hiking together, and on the map and with the earlier discussions, we understood it's going to be relatively flat, etc. But when we are approaching Gale Hut, which was at that 2/3 distance from start, we were gassed out. We were beat up. Not only we were beat up because what we had distance and elevation we had covered, but because the expectation that we had was of like it being a little bit easier, that second 1/3 of it had not come true. So Sajid and I, we were mentally starting to kind of reevaluate that, can we go the distance? So those weak points came to us to visit us. It came to visit Sajid also, and we discussed, and it came to visit me also. But when we went to Gale Hut and got a little bit rest and saw the other people whose spines had steel in them and they were not looking to bail out or looking to kind of sidestep any of the oncoming effort, we also got some of that steel poured into ours, and we were able to complete. So that to me was a very distinctive and important point in the whole hiking experience, that because of seeing somebody else bullying up to the effort that they had to deal with, we also got the courage to push through our limits a little bit. So just that's one point I wanted to put across.
But how do before we proceed ahead, I can see Shabab Bhai has joined as well. Welcome. What we say in Hindi and Urdu, der aaye durust aaye. So please.
Thank you, Saurabh bhai.
Yes. So Shabab Bhai, before we get into, we were discussing about some experiences, mindset, and obviously we are getting into a bit of the psychological and all the things, discussing about it. If you would like to give a brief introduction about yourself and why you are here in this group.
Brief introduction.
It's not a job interview, by the way.
Yes, I'll be prepared for it. Well, I am just fortunate to be, haven't introduced to this group through, I think, Amir Bhai, and he kind of, I got to know most of these people through. Then I got lucky with Mount Whitney's permit, and
Mhm.
that's kind of how I got to know most of them. And since then, we have had the opportunity to go on multiple hikes with this group. So uh,
So
that's
what
how I got.
drives you, basically, if I may ask?
Sorry.
I'm saying what drives you in hiking and running. I know that you did some
I think it's
milestone birthday run as well and all those things. So
I think it's just your internal goal setting, internal voice that says, how far can you push yourself? That's really for me the factor. That's just an internal thing, and I think it's just having the group that organizes and does these activities just provides an outlet and ability to actually be able to participate and actually go and do it. So, but it's an internal thing. It's like proving to myself over and over again that can I do this? Can I get to the next level? So
so
that's
you
just what
are
it is.
you are a seeker, and I think that recalls me one of the quote. I don't recall who. I think Buddha or something, Lord Buddha here, that if you try to seek knowledge, a teacher will emerge.
Mm.
Which means that it's and this is going towards the same thing what Atul Bhai was also mentioning, that apart from the group, it also has to come within you. And that's what we say that. And the other one is something like, when if you would like to learn, the world is your library. So
Yeah.
it's just the same thing. Now you're looking into a different perspective. So I think you are very much inclined to what Atul Bhai mentioned as well, that apart from a good company, you have to have some kind of internal driving force as well, and obviously that will further propel with the people who are around
If I
there.
may add a little bit, right? I think some
Yes.
of us have that internal mental fortitude, if I may say, right? That mental strength.
Yes.
And maybe everyone has, but two people that I have really witnessed so far, it's
Mm.
Amir and Shabab.
Mm.
So I'll just share one thing, right? Shabab's family is in Pakistan. He's
Yeah.
alone in New Jersey. I would just hang out and binge watch a movie. This guy
Mm.
drives up 4, 6, 8 hour drive, and he takes on alone a solitude hike up Mount Washington. We accidentally ran into him, so we did it together. But this guy was willing to do it on his own. You know, that's the kind of
Yes.
a guy Shabab is, and we
In
all
Urdu
heard
we say "dimag ka keeda."
he has some kida all over his body, just like
All
a
over the
dog.
body.
And then Amir, obviously, we heard right. He has been doing it alone when nobody was around him. So I think it requires that mental fortitude that these two individuals, at least I've seen, they have, which I don't have. Again, I am here because of all of you. If you
Yeah.
guys were not here, I would be sitting and binge watching Godfather three movies.
So I think everyone has a different motivation factor, and at the same time, I would like to mention that I think we are more or less from three different countries, right? From India, Pakistan, and US as well. So that also shows that it's not limited to a particular region or the country or the way. It just, as a human being, we are trying to extract something from within, from outside, and making our life fulfilling. And one thing I think you always I think you guys agree as well, that when you try to reach and talk, having conversation with a non hiker, runner, or those people who are not into this endurance thing, you have so many stories to tell. I mean, at least from my side, when I started speaking about my experiences, and when I stopped, and I was like, I'm talking for a while. Uh, I don't want to kind of hijack all the conversation. What you have to say? And they said, I love your stories, but unfortunately, I don't have any. It doesn't mean that you have to do these things to create your story, but you have to be intentional. And as Atul Bhai, he's a writer as well. He has so many stories from that perspective. He's also leading, I think, a lot of groups to in those writing pursuit. And this is exactly what happens. You learn something, and those experiences spills over to some other activities in your life, and that's how you make your life a bit worthwhile. So while we are getting into that experience mode, uh, I'll also share some of the photos here, just to see that if you find any funny moment, what we have done, and share about it. What exactly some of the highlights of your hike? And while I'm doing that, I just have to find this. I have thousands of tabs open here, so please bear with me. Anything you would like to discuss meanwhile, folks here?
I just want to say one thing because
Yes.
you mentioned about the Pemi Loop
Yeah.
experience recently. Though I have done 6 years back, is I was blown away with the utmost beauty of nature, and the serenity and all those layers of mountains. The far you can see, if the day is obviously open, not like a cloudy day. But that was I witnessed in the 6 years back. So now when I went back again,
Hmm.
the reason, the point which I'm right now want to share with everyone, and that is about the limit and the goals, and that is so important, which I mean, my also friends, they also witnessed. um, there isn't any limit. Obviously you can explore your a deep dive into it, and you see how strong your personality would be if you wanted to go in. So I started with the mindset I'm gonna do half day and come back because of some
Yes.
personal reason.
Yes.
And then I changed my mind because of somebody's like tabbing me, like including Tamir and
Would you like to disclose
Tej.
their names here?
Yeah, so Tej was one thing sitting by me, and Tamir was, he's laughing at me right now. So I was like, guys,
Thank you for
I'm,
doing
I'm
it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So not only that, I then convinced John. He was also part of the other
Yeah.
slackers group. He wants to to give up, and then he joined also. The reason I'm sharing this is so important, so because I knew how hard it was when I did in 2018 or 17. um and I changed my mind just to see in a split second, oh, I'm going full. And when I started the journey, I the how the goal get change, and how your mind gets stronger. That's the one to share my story. I'm doing it. First of all, next day we woke up 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and started our journey 4 o'clock, navigating ourselves into the dark on top of the ridge over 5,000 feet, Mount Lafayette. It wasn't that easy, and with all the group behind, I know, I was, scared a little bit, maybe because of ridge, right? You can just
Yes.
trip to some other side, and there you cannot see, your vision is very limited. So I gone through, and then what happened, my focus was to Tamir and John. We somehow we came up to a group which is stronger group, I would say. I don't want to insult any others, but somehow I thought they can also push,
Yeah.
with my pace.
We
And
anyways feel insulted now, but
no,
that's fine.
so I took them. I took we went, even though we took them, and then finally I was little ahead, and I know they are coming up along and a
Yeah.
little bit behind. Obviously they have also the map and everything, and somehow I lost my path and went to a I lost the path and went to a different direction where it led me to another mountain, which is a Zealand mountain. And I knew that they already passed, obviously, the time it took me. And
Mm.
by the time I realized that I'm right now hour and 30 minutes behind with my group. And literally, now the reason I'm sharing, because see, that's how the goals, your small goals are so
Change. Yes.
important.
Yeah.
How you can overcome on the stuff, the how you deal with the incidental stuff, when it come, if arise, how you can tackle, and then literally it gave me boosted my energy. And I I just took off. And I was, because I had to meet them, I just was running. I said, let me just go, because I know I can do it. I just started following them, and then I realized, other guys are, I was behind him, and the second
Yeah,
group
we
also
met you. Yeah.
across that. So the reason I'm saying, like, changing this small goals while you are going all this strenuous stuff, whatever, this give a lesson in a life, our regular life, right? The thing goes, come, and what they call ups and downs happens, and how you overcome those realities. This is a reality of life. This I was
Yes.
just sharing, and then finally I said, I lost another like place where I took the 0.8 miles on the fall side, Franconia Fall, and then I was running 10 miles like crazy because I thought maybe they're gonna leave me, stranded somewhere in the dark, and had me to wait for the other group for 2 hours. And then I
Right.
finally, luckily, I showed up like 10, 15 minutes after. But the whole idea was, this was one of the story I'm sharing with the Pemi Loop, is always, you have a strength in you hidden. You have those, courage. All you have to just, knock it, and then be focused what you want to accomplish. Next small goal. You can always, it drives your personality, like how you want to deal with it, the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
thank you for
think,
listening. Yeah.
no, I think you have provided a very pivotal point at the same time, that how you have to take decisions on the fly. So as you mentioned that sometimes, and this is, I have not yet occupied that place where I can go alone. So that's why I go with the group. But for the people who are either very slow or very fast, uh, one of the things which I learned is obviously they have to go through all this GPS and not rely for other people. But you, coming back to not into getting into the depth, is how you pivot at the situation which has been thrown at you. This is very important from that perspective. And then, as you mentioned, that you want to catch up and you try and did a few things which otherwise you wouldn't have. And that's how the stories have been made. If we just walk and complete the Pemi loop, why are we even talking about it? We haven't discussed a bit on this, the 70 miles per hour wind on the day one, which is also, I have never seen, at least from my side, the wind that in my life, where I couldn't even stand properly. And glad that I captured, and the good part is I captured Sajid Bhai over there, who was struggling, but still he was trying to laugh because I was filming there. So obviously he might not be laughing in his full spirit, but that's exactly how it works. So quickly getting into a few of the stuff here, a few pictures which we have shared across. If any picture which stands out, if you would like to uh, give any comments on that, please let me know, because I'm seeing so many pictures here. As a triathlete, I think someone has taken this picture. I think it's Tej Bhai. Obviously, just seeing some picture. Do you have any recollection of what exactly is that special about this bike?
I think what Atul has for his Ironman, races. This is something that he rides.
Uh, oh,
So
that is the same story where the whole
wanted to
bike
show
falls
everybody.
apart.
Sorry, sorry.
Was it the same bike which we were discussing that
Yes,
falls apart,
somewhat
and you have to?
similar, no, but this is better off one, I think. It has some wheels and some chains. I see all that in the picture. But Atul can do a full Ironman without all that stuff. Yeah.
Atul bhai, any comments from your side?
You're on mute. You're on mute, Atul.
To me, bike definition is two wheels, a seat, and a handle, and somehow all the contraptions sticking together.
Uh-huh.
And like in olden days, right? They used to have these horses that sometimes they would ride until they fall apart. So that's my philosophy with bike also.
He's the man. He
So
doesn't need a machine.
yeah, so until the bike dies, I ride it
Mhm.
and then change it. So these the young guns do it differently. They look at bikes very differently. For me, it's a little bit of a simpler thing.
So
So
basically, you're deliberately making your life harder. If this falls apart, you quickly assemble it and run and complete.
no, yeah. If so, So anyway, enough
So
said.
us as a person,
Enough said.
see, we pay money on our bikes for like
Yes.
$10,000 bikes to reduce 5 grams. That's it. That's all we get, and we get
Yeah.
aero.
And Atul Bhai can remove few of the
Atul
stuff
gets
and he can
$10,
achieve that
buys
same.
weights and puts it on himself while training. That's the
Oh yes. And then obviously we had all these this carb loading parties prior night, right?
Yeah, the
And
beer before and the beer after is just
yes.
amazing, right? That's what
Oh
you
yes.
really do all this stuff for. I think two things stand out for me. One
Yes.
is the scenery, right? Just
Yes.
spectacular views that are you can't get to see any other way except on your own two legs.
Oh
And
yes.
then this camaraderie of the a few drinks before, and you're doing ho ho ha ha, and then putting this tremendous effort in the whole thing, and then at the end of it you're celebrating with another clink of glasses, and what's not to like.
Exactly. And I think that is one of the few times in your life where the beer tastes so good
Yeah.
that you can drink one gasp of breath, I guess, maybe.
For me,
Whatever.
actually, beer always tastes so good.
Yeah. So these pictures, obviously, Timur Bhai is pretty looking animated here.
I think he was looking at your pants, Saurabh.
See, okay, so my
Look at it,
pants
look
matches
at your pants.
his jacket and your shirt as well. So there were a lot of combination which we could have changed on the go, but I think we deliberately keep it
Unfortunately,
like
these
that.
pictures don't show your socks. We want to see your socks, the yellow socks, the purple pants.
Well, I mean, that's the way, yeah. You have to make your life pretty colorful. I try to make it bit fluorescent in all those colors.
If you can bring up a video of if there's a video around the wind that we
Oh
experienced.
yes, I do have that. Let me see. So that was the the I think the severe part was around Mount Lafayette, right? I
Even the
Yeah, a
earlier
little
one.
bit. Yeah, earlier than Lafayette, I think.
help me stop where you see that we are reaching, because I think
Yeah, you were getting closer now. Yeah,
Haystack, right?
yeah.
let me just start. Is it giving you? I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah, we can hear that.
Okay, so that was a small one. I think everyone is trying to take some shelter from the wind. Any?
There are a few others as well. I guess once we see them, we'll know.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Manoj Bhai. Okay, first of all, a big congratulations to Manoj Bhai and all the Berlin Marathon runners today, as at the time of this recording. And they did the BQ, which is Boston Qualify, which is, I would say, that one of the destinations for a lot of runners to qualify in Boston, to run Boston Marathon. And he also completed the 6-star medal. And for the people who do not know, 6-star medal is like the top prestigious 6 marathons in the world, which is Chicago, New York, Boston, Tokyo, Berlin, and London. And I think they are including a new one as well, someone mentioned before. So big shout out to these folks. Okay, I think it's just running
You
in a
can move
loop.
forward from this. I love
Manoj is
Manoj,
tired
but
walking.
not that
We need to stop him now.
much.
We heard a lot Manoj name like 6 times already.
Already, yes. What this guy is doing? He's singing a song.
Like, he's coming here for the pictures. I don't think he has any other work in the mountains. He comes here for all these pictures.
All these pictures.
So he's not here. You can talk whatever you want,
Yeah, I cannot show all the videos. I don't know what is something which is above 18. Just kidding. So yeah, I mean this is, yeah. Again, I think we are waiting for a few people as well, and I think within 5 minutes we started shivering as well. It was, the wind was so strong at that time, and this is the hut. I think everyone must have relieved after seeing those hut that okay, we are very near. And I still remember the first sip of that warm water with the tea. That was really looks like a magic potion to me at this time. I don't know if anyone would like to have any perspective on that.
Yeah, that hut was amazing. That was a great idea, booking hut. I've done camping, but
Yes.
not like a at the end of the strenuous hike, you end up at a really nice warm place where you can go and have hot tea and a nice warm bed you can get into. That
Oh,
was
yes. And
awesome.
it's not a regular
Hospitality,
hut, right?
hospitality, you don't expect that in a mountain, right? What
Yeah.
kind
Exactly.
of hospitality was there? Like, I would suggest anybody just go to the hut and come back.
Oh, yes, yes.
Travel, stay at the hut, have the food, enjoy the hospitality, and come back. I'm trying to
Actually,
do
there were
just
people who did just that. There were people who Manoj Bhai convinced to give us a ride. They actually
Yeah.
just hiked up to the hut, stayed there overnight, and went back.
Yeah. And just see how everything has been like you are giving a grand treatment out of in the middle of nowhere, where even the food is being airlifted and dropped. I guess that's what they mentioned.
And look at the
That was,
backdrop. Picture perfect. Look at the
yeah,
backdrop.
yeah. Just see the backdrop here. And this is exactly, we are in the midst of the wilderness. And I think these are some of the stop. They were showing all these. Okay, I think Atul Bhai, you.
I had
Yeah, yeah, okay, I think, yeah. So the staff was pretty much very, the hospitality, whatever you get around that part, you are still so happy. But they were like explaining how they are bringing all the stuff and where they are from, they're volunteering and all those things. That was really a great way. And these people having nice time as well. I think this is a bunker bed which we had over there. I think it was pretty comfortable, specifically seeing our condition over there. But still, I couldn't have a sleep because normally this is the way how I am, like because of the anxiety or something. I couldn't sleep properly. But how was everyone's experience? I didn't see any bed bugs, but if you guys had, or any good thing, maybe I would say.
I would just say one thing: always carry earplugs.
We had
Okay, can you elaborate that?
round.
Two things: carry melatonin, carry earplugs. You'll be fine.
You will be fine. Yes.
Whether you're
You-
sharing a hotel room with
You
a
need to find
fellow
your bedmates carefully. Or
Bed
bunk
mate.
bedmates.
10 of them. And this is, you can't select all the
we
time.
had bunk beds, right? You can see, right? There are bunk beds. There are
Yes.
6 people, so you have no idea whom you're gonna end up with. So just carry earplugs, and you'll be fine.
I know.
I will say if you have camped out at night
Yes.
in a cold night, and if you think of that and then think of the bed you got, it was heaven.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
The fact that you didn't have to set up your tent.
So we know the guy who made all the noise.
yeah. So I think the only thing which we would like is the thunder of the clouds rather than someone else thunder while sleeping, in a way. I'm trying to make a bad joke, but I don't know whether it lands well. But okay, so this is something which I think we started around 4 a.m. and amazing. I mean, again, what you see from the lens of your eyes, you cannot see from these pictures. But it was amazing dawn at that time, which we have seen. The people, I think, Shabab Bhai and Sharik Bhai, how was the breakfast?
As good as dinner. Absolutely amazing.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was
It was
good.
very
So
efficient. We were all done by they started at 7. We were all done and dusted by 7:30. We started a hike back at 7:40.
oh yes, okay, cool. And this is Mount Garfield, which I put it on my social media as well. I have seen when I saw Amir Bhai, he was so excited. He was like he was waiting for at least few of the folks to show up there. Obviously, with his speed, we cannot match up. But he mentioned that this is one of the best views, and yeah, definitely it was. Any comments on that? Like anyone?
Yeah, it's actually so. I witnessed before also. So
Mhm.
the main idea for holding that for a little long for everyone to come and catch me, because it's very easy, you can bypass but not take that opportunity, because the trail passes along from the side,
Yeah.
and there right before there is a lookout point, which is you notice this is maybe the only thing, and then you just follow the trail, and you, because you don't see, the way we see that ledge where we were having a good time and pictures and everything,
Yeah.
you cannot see it from the trail. And the
Yes.
trail,
Yes.
which is winding a little bit on other side, is very easy to skip this part of the, I would say, summit for the
Hmm.
Garfield. So the reason, yeah, that's the whole reason for I was waiting for everyone so they can come here, relax, take like a 10 minutes break, and have a beautiful pictures. This and Mount Bond is a two, and obviously the Bond Ledge. These are the three, the points where you get the most 360 kind of view from the top.
From the top. I
Yeah.
know. And yeah, definitely. And one funny thing, I don't know what Sajid Bhai was trying to do. This is a pose I have not seen much frequently when someone takes a picture. So, Sajid Bhai, what were you up to on this?
I think that was a picture by you. I think definitely that's why it's all like that.
Yeah, but I was thinking that maybe you're trying to make a unique pose. I know we are kind of running out of the time as well, but quickly, few of the pictures. I mean, happy faces.
This is really good picture. I like that.
Yes.
One of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
best.
This
Uh,
is from the Mount Bond.
no, no, I think this is the same from Garfield only.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. This is
Yes,
from the Garfield. Yes.
Garfield
You're
only.
right. You're
Yes,
right.
yes.
That's a
We
Garfield.
we were still trying to, yeah,
Yes.
taking pictures and trying to take as much as rest, and Atul Bhai his self reflection time as well.
No. So
Yeah.
just so that particular, if you put that video on, it actually gives a good view of what was around us there. Yeah.
Okay, let me just. I think I.
So the
Pemi
my
Loop,
my idea
and
was
look at all
back.
this background. And here is the leader of all leaders, Amir.
Yes, sir.
And here's
Are you
the-
a leader, sir?
You're all
You're just
guys.
pushing us.
And we're all in Atul's shadow.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's just loading, but yeah, that was one of the view.
So Saurabh, I wanted to
Yeah.
just I have to drop off shortly, but
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah,
like add a couple of thoughts.
yeah.
Uh, One thing that happens in an expedition like this, where you have like 12 people, these are 12 strong personalities.
Yes.
And each one has a life experience, and each one is has their own priorities and so on. So aside from the bonding that develops in such a long time that we spend together, driving up and then hiking together, and going through some distress points and so on, so that's what creates a tremendous amount of bonding and building of that team spirit together. But also, these are very interesting opportunities of actually engaging and working with people who are who may have a little bit different priority at that given moment, and an interesting perspective at that given moment.
Yeah.
And it's also a very good way of kind of fine tuning whatever soft skills that one has, right?
Yeah.
Because like in this particular expedition also, at that hut, at the Greenleaf hut, we all had to make a decision, and some people leaned a certain way, some people leaned the other way. We figured out a way to all of it work together without anybody really feeling left out or left behind. And I think that itself is because here there's no authority, nobody owns each other because they have a position above them, or you can't force somebody to do something or not do something. So that aspect, I think, is like underappreciated, but it's also extremely valuable part of an outcome of such an experience.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think every hike has so many things to learn. And again, it try to reinforce some of our beliefs and create new, or try to strengthen something which is still pretty nebulous. And so that being said, obviously we can go on and on, but I really appreciate everyone's time to come on this call. to make this kind of going through a memory lane and going down and just try to explain and also showcase how everyone is so different, but still we are together because we celebrate those differences in a way that when we come together, we have a same North Star when we try to achieve, and without any judgment, as Atul Bhai you mentioned. And that being said, I think looking forward for all these next hikes, triathlons, and runs and all. I hope that we will come back again and experience more our memories around what exactly happens in those activities. But that being said, thank you again, gentlemen, for those who turned up, for those also who couldn't, but they are in the spirits because of whatever the reason they couldn't come here. Really appreciate it. And all the best to everyone for their future endeavors. And yeah, I can't wait to see you guys again, taking some more pictures and make some people jealous as well.
Thank you very much, Saurabh.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Saurabh. Take care.
Thank
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Thanks. Have a great one. Bye.